speak today. I've been listening to all the lectures since morning and I've been learning so much. Hi, I'm Haripriya. I'm class of 2020. I received my bachelor's and master's in 6.2, electrical engineering and computer science, and I minored in music. I'm vice president of MIT South Asian Alumni Association, and today we'll be creating a digital greeting card. So we'll jump right in. I'm going to share my screen. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to this website. So I'm going to put this in the chat. And so once you go on this website, you will have to sign up for this. So first thing you should do is you should press fork so that you can copy my template. You can sign in through Google, GitHub, or Facebook. I have GitHub, so I'll sign through GitHub. And so for me, it creates another copy. So while you're doing that, I want to talk a little bit about myself and about the workshop. So I had a virtual graduation in the middle of the pandemic last year, May of 2020. And a lot of my friends in high school told me that all the internships and camps were canceled. And they were looking for ways to learn more STEM skills as well as putting something valuable for their college admissions. So my friends from MIT, my brother from Stanford, and I taught machine learning boot camp. It was international, 6 week, 4 hours a day on weekdays. 40 students received the opportunity to learn university level machine learning and complete a project of their choice. And what that taught me was that students were interested in learning computer science and completing projects. So we decided to teach middle school students how to create digital greeting cards in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And so I was telling this to the other board members of MIT South Asian Alumni Association, and they were interested in learning as well. So here I am. Um, the original workshop was taught before Christmas, so it was a little Christmas themed, but we are way past Christmas now. The next holiday is the Chinese New Year. So today we're going to make Happy Chinese New Year cards. Just because we are physically distancing, we don't need to be socially distanced. So hopefully you'll get an opportunity to create a card and send to your friends and family. One thing about the workshop, the original workshop was 2 hours long, but we're obviously going to compress in 30 minutes. So it might be like drinking water from a fire hose, but that's nothing we aren't familiar with already. It's important for you to understand how the card goes together. So it's up to you whether you want to follow along with me or just try to understand where things go. So let's get started. So this card will be composed of 3 programming languages: HTML, CSS, JavaScript. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It forms the backbone of any website. CSS, cascading style sheets. It makes the website look a little more interesting. It adds color, it adds animation, positioning. All of that is responsible through CSS. And then there's JavaScript, which provides interactivity to our website. Our card is going to be, in the website format. So for any creative process, there's a few steps we had to go through before we actually start coding. First, we should create a storyboard, then we should have a prototype and create then the required assets. So maybe our storyboard for our card can be a card that sort of envelope comes in, and then maybe it says Happy Holidays, or in our case, Happy Chinese New Year at the end. So here are some assets. I didn't create this. My friend Marva, who's a class of 2020 course to mechanical engineer, she created it. She's a brilliant artist. So these are some assets that we are going to be using today. I'll show you that more later when we're with the code. And this is sort of what our storyboard is going to be. There will be an envelope floating, and then the envelope will open. You'll have something in the background, and then you'll have the message. So one thing I want to show you is colors is going to be super useful to make a card look very pretty. So Adobe Color Wheel is a website you can use, and I'll put this in the chat as well if you kind of want to help of how, like, what colors go together. So maybe, sorry, my internet is lagging a bit. Let me put this in the chat. So you can click on any of these colors and it will give you a color palette that will look good. So now let me show you what this platform is that we are using. Let me go to my copy of the template. So usually computer scientists, they code either they code locally, which is on the computer, but for a workshop this length, it's very difficult to set everything up on the computer. So coding it online is much easier. Here on the left, we have all these files. So we have our HTML file, we have our CSS and JavaScript, and then we have all our assets. So we see candles, crescents, envelopes, and I can show you a couple. You can choose which color you want or which size you want. Marva has made all these wonderful, wonderful assets. She would have loved to join us, but unfortunately she's based in Bahrain, so it's a little late there. But let's go back to our index.html. And here, here we're going to talk about what is it, but there's the code that's right there. And then you can press run. And when you press run, you will see this on the side. So let me open this in a new tab. So you can press this button right over here. And you can see there's this envelope. You can't read it yet. Click me. This is something we'll fix, but we can click the envelope, and then you have this card. So obviously we need to change some things a bit here. So let me close out of here. And let me talk a little bit about the HTML file here. So every HTML file has this HTML tag. So these bracket-like things are the tags. So you have the starting tag and a closing tag. So we have HTML over here, and then you see at the very end an closing HTML tag. So here we have our head and we have our body. So it's just like it's like a human being. You have your head and your body. The head doesn't have like really important stuff that's going to go on the website. So it's more of like side stuff, like what should be on the tab title. So we have our head here, and then we have our body, which has a lot of interesting things. So the question is now, what are we going to change here? So
Sorry, Priya, I have a quick question.
yes.
So you were just showing the HTML.
Yes.
Can we use like an HTML editor for those who don't know HTML to edit?
Oh, like a separate code editor? Yeah, you definitely can. If you're using a separate code editor, then I would say to download all these files. And I think there is a way to download. There's probably a way to download all of them, or you can just download them each or copy paste. But for now, this would be the easiest. If you're not familiar with HTML, you can just use the internet. So going back to like what we need to do. So I know this is a little childish. It was for middle school students, but meet Simon the elf. He's a little bit bossy, but he needs your help in making some changes to the card. So the first change that Simon says is Simon wants you to change the name of your greeting card or website page. So if we go back and open in a new tab, hopefully you can see from here, it says web name here. So I'll give you a couple of seconds here. It's not super complicated, but you can kind of see like where to change web name here. So you can look through the code. If anyone wants to write in the chat where you should change it, then feel free to write it in the chat. It's on line 6, right? Web name here. So we are going to change that to something maybe a little bit more descriptive of what we want. And oops, I'm not logged in. Okay. Sorry, I just need to fork this. I think it didn't remember me logging in. Okay. So we can say happy Chinese New Year, maybe. And we'll press run. Every time you make a code change, you have to press run, and you can open in a new tab. So you can see here, this might be a little bit long, so I'll just change this to Happy New Year. Okay. So feel free to name it whatever you want. The next thing we're going to do is change the background color of the page. So right now I'm not liking this because you can't even see this click me. It's a little too blue for me, and I'd like something festive. So if you recall, I said that HTML is just the bare bones, but if you want color or anything like that, you can go to your CSS file. So let me show you how the CSS file looks like. So the CSS file does like the different coloring, positioning, and so I'm going to show you that. And while we're at it, I'll also show you the JavaScript file as well, just so you know how it looks. All these.
So how do we do this ourselves? Do we use your page?
Yeah. So let me backtrack. So let me put this on the chat. I like already put this, but I'll put it again here. If you click on this link, you should be able to fork it. So you can just click fork. And then once you fork it, you should be able to just start modifying on mine.
Sorry, I don't know what fork it means.
Oh, over here. So if you
I'm on your page.
Yeah. And if you click this,
yeah.
And then there's a fork button.
Okay.
And does it open up in like a separate link or something? Like it maybe your own name or something?
It's just asking for a username.
For a username, yeah. So you can log in using Google or Facebook, or if you have a GitHub account, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and once you log in, it should be you should be getting to this. If it doesn't work, you can always just click on the link in the chat again and do the process again. It's a little buggy. I think Replit is fairly new, so but it should work. Once you make your own copy, you should be able to make edits, and this card would be yours. Okay, so these are like the 3 files. So let's make a change on the CSS. So right now this color corresponds like to this Alice blue color. This body means like basically everything in the body. So it's the background color for the whole page. So I want it to be a little bit more festive, maybe like a red color. So we can just try. And the nice thing is that when you use like some editor like this, you can kind of see those colors pop up. This is kind of right in my eyes, so I'm actually going to change it to a little bit more subdued red. And I looked this up before. You can also find this out in the Adobe color page over here. But I decided on this color, but you feel free to decide on any other color that you wish. So that's how you do the background color. So I'll just take a pause here since I know some people are still logging in, creating accounts. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. Cool. So we can go back here. And let's see what's the next thing that Simon says. So Simon wants us to change the message in the card. So that's something more that goes in like the bare bones of our card, of our website. So let's go back to index.html. And we can scroll down here. So here we have happy holidays, my friend, lorem ipsum, lorem ipsum. So obviously we don't want that. So we can make some changes here. So feel free to make whatever changes you wish. I am going to title this Happy Chinese New Year. And I'll say MIT friends. And from Itza. So one word of warning here is like if you want to send this card to many friends, you really can't put their name because since we're working only with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, it doesn't really save any of your information. So you can only put one friend's name here, or you have to make it very general. If you want to send it to more friends, you would have to make duplicates of these cards. So let's see how this looks. Yeah, and I think that looks great. So so we're done writing a new message. Let's see what's the next thing that Simon wants us to do. So Simon wants us to change the small picture icon of our website. So maybe you've heard of this. It's called a favicon. So if you go here, can you see this Earth-like symbol? So that's a favicon. Right now it's to the default, which is the Earth symbol, because we haven't put anything. But let's make it something that's pretty, so that like a person who's clicking on different tabs knows that this tab sort of belongs to us. So what I'm going to teach you next here is how to reference like one of the images that Marva has here on the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a reindeer. Unfortunately, I think it's the year of ox, but we don't have any oxes. We only had reindeers from Christmas. So we're going to put a reindeer here instead. But feel free to create an ox and upload an image yourself if you are more of an artist than I am. But let's click on maybe the blue reindeer. I like this for an icon. So as you can see, and I will increase this out a little bit. Oh, by the way, this is the download as zip if you want to work this online. I was like not seeing this before because it wasn't enlarged, but here you have the reindeers and reindeer blue 01.svg. So what I'm going to do is over here, here's where the favicons, it literally gives you a comment. Comments, by the way, are these grayed out things. They aren't executed, but they sort of help coders realize like what's going on in the code. So here we just put our address to our image. So the way we would do that is it's in the folders reindeers. So we'll do reindeers, and then we'll do a slash, and then we'll put reindeer blue 01.svg. And we're gonna run that. So that's super important because like right now, we're not going to do it in this workshop, but suppose you want to change this envelope to another color because maybe you don't like green. So notice that there are a lot of envelopes. There's closed ones and open ones. NCL are the closed ones and NO are the open ones. You can always just link it wherever you see. So you can just do a control find envelope. So over here, this is the image to the green one, the open and close, but you can change it to whatever you want. So here we have reindeers, reindeer blue. So we press run, and you can see this small little reindeer over here. By the way, so sometimes if you don't see any updates in your code, it's possible that maybe you mistyped something, but it's also possible that it didn't update. So I would just do Control R or Command R, something to refresh. You can also just press this button a couple of times to refresh. So cool. So now we have a title, we have a favicon, we have a beautiful background. Now what's next? What does Simon tell us to do next? Okay, Simon wants us to add music to the card. So here you can see that there's like no music loaded in. I have the code already for you of the music. And so let's go down here and let's see like where this music is. Over here, right? Audio controls, autoplay, audio, all of this other stuff down here are the lanterns. So this is the place where we want to make changes to the audio. So oops. So this SRC is basically the link to our audio. So one thing about audio, or even if you're using images or anything like that, if you're using other people's images or audio, make sure to cite them and make sure that you aren't using anything that costs money. Like as long as you're paying, it's fine. But if you're not paying, make sure not to use anything that has a copyright or anything like that. So one site I would recommend is Bensound, and I'll put this in the chat. It has a lot of cute music. And so you can just look at some of this music over here, but some of it costs money, some of it doesn't. It kind of tells you like whether you can use it or not. So like for this, you're free to use this music in your multimedia project. And all you need to do is download if it's fine for you to download. And once you download, you should be dragging it over here and uploading it. So I already picked a song because I'm representing the South Asian Alumni Association. I picked a song that has a sitar, which is a South Asian string instrument, and tabla, which is a South Asian percussion instrument here. So the way we would cite it is again the same exact thing. The way we would link it is the exact same way we would do with images. So we can just put bensound.mp3 over here, and we can press run. And so you can see now suddenly it's loaded in over here. Let me redo the screen share because I think this you might not be able to hear the sound. So let me just share the computer sound here. Okay, and now let's press run, and we can open. You can hear the sound. Hopefully it's not too loud. Okay, and so that's pretty much our card. So let me go back to our code here. So couple of things I wanted to point out, other changes you can make after. We're not going to go over it, but now that you kind of understand how this works, okay, once we click this, for example, so you see there's a crescent, there's a candle, and a gift box. I sort of used those because I wanted to represent like all the different cultures and religions in South Asia. You know, there's Hindus, Muslims, Jains, Christians, Buddhists, basically every religion you can think of. So I use these, but you can use really any of the assets that make sense to you, and all you need to do is sort of just look here. So you see the crescent orange, candle big blue, presents red, 01, and you can always just change the image link to any of the images from the assets you have here. You might, the positioning, since all these objects are a little differently sized, you might have to change the positioning, and the way you change the positioning is on our CSS file. And the way, so we can go back to our index.html. So how do you know where you change it in the CSS? Well, you have our div class, image 2, image 3, image 4. And so we'll just look at this CSS file where it has image 2, image 3, image 4. So you have it over here. And what I would do is just play around with these values, the width, left, top, and you can get sort of different cards for every occasion. That's pretty much it for me. So while you're working on this card, I know this might have been a little bit fast, but if you are working on this card at a later date, then feel free to email me if you have any questions. And if you have any questions right now, I'd be happy to answer. Yeah, Rishma, yes, that's a good question. Change it to SVG. Yeah, so when you you can upload it as an SVG, but you can upload as a JPEG or SVG. It's fine.
So for those who are watching the replay, I just want to repeat Reshma's question. If we upload our own image, do we need to change it from SVG to JPEG?
Yeah, so you can if you wish, and I can talk about why these are all SVG images. If you have uploaded a JPEG file, then just make sure that your link is like correctly, it says .jpeg. The reason why we changed to SVG instead of JPEG is that maybe you want to resize some of these images. So if you resize it to any image and it's an SVG, it won't distort it. Whereas with the JPEG, it might distort something. So. But it's fine as long as this naming and this naming over here is consistent. It should look good and it should work. Any other questions?
What's been your favorite card to produce?
I really liked the Christmassy ones we had, and let me see if I can find one actually to show, because they had snowflakes, but this one was fun as well. They're all pretty cute. Marva's a very talented artist. this was one I actually I showed it to my mentor. He's a nuclear engineer from Argonne National Lab. He's also an MIT alum. And I met he was my mentor during an externship, and he's like, "Can you make a card for me that I can send to my friends?" So I made one for him, and I will. So he's Chinese, so I added some lanterns for him, but it's really up to you. You can also change your own card and change some of these images. So you can put lanterns, you can put snowflakes, you can also put like falling reindeers. It's up to you, really. You can do anything.
Great. Does anyone have any other questions? Thank you so much, Haripriya. That was really wonderful to learn about how to make my own greeting cards. I'm definitely going to try it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thank you.